Hey guys, excuse me, Eric here. I just had to jump on here with some devastating news from the Supreme Court today. They've handed down several decisions. Some of the information is out now from those decisions. One is on the news right now. The president is making a news conference, a press conference from the White House in regard to the Supreme Court's decision regarding birthright citizenship case. Previously, judges on the federal level and regional level, appellate courts, had blocked Trump from invoking and trying to stop the birthright citizenship amendment. And what has been handed down is that that amendment, I believe it's the 14th Amendment, was set up for babies of slaves. Those words came out of Trump's mouth, saying that was for babies of slaves at the end of the Civil War, making them citizens rather than people coming into this country having what has been termed anchor babies, saying that anyone who's born in the United States is automatically a citizen. And so, if you did not believe that there was a constitutional fire going on, this lets you know. So here it is. Let me scroll back up. Supreme Court hands Trump major win. The Supreme Court, in 6-3 vote, grants Trump's request to narrow injunctions blocking his birthright citizenship order. And what that means is, if someone, say, someone from Mexico comes to the United States illegally, but they are pregnant, and then the child is born here in the United States, per the Constitution, that child is a U.S. citizen. What Trump wanted to do is to suspend that and saying that these, quote, anchor babies are not citizens. And he wants to deport them. And so here it is. The court did not rule on whether the Trump administration has legal standing to revoke birthright citizenship for the children of some immigrants. Yet Democrats warned the decision paves the way for, quote, a vile betrayal of our Constitution, said Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz from the state of Florida. Quote, the Supreme Court decision today will result in the infringement of Americans' rights for years to come. Limiting nationwide injunctions will have long-lasting efforts on our courts, ceding even more power to the executive branch and providing justice only to those with the means or luck to have a lawyer. Unquote. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto from the state of Nevada said in the statement. Well, the 14th Amendment is clear. If you're born in the United States, you're an American citizen. But the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, disagrees. The criticisms of the ruling echo Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor's dissenting opinion, in which she argued that the court, quote, advocates its vital role in upholding the rule of law with its ruling. I agree with that. Sorry for my notifications. In limiting nationwide injunctions, SCOTUS has, once again, prioritized loyalty to Trump over defense of the Constitution. Deplorable, said Delilah Ramirez from the state of Illinois. Chief Justice John Roberts announced from the bench that the court plans to issue orders next week on Monday and Thursday. So there are others. So that was just done today. Another decision that gives Trump a win is the Obamacare decision could presage another win for Trump's on vaccines. What this means is the court's decision in Kennedy versus Braidwood Management to preserve Affordable Care Act directed coverage of certain preventative services embraces the Trump administration's executive power-focused defense of the law, an aspect of the arguments that concern public health groups. In his opinion, conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh affirmed that the Health and Human Services Secretary, who currently is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has the authority to both appoint U.S. Preventative Services Task Force members and remove them at will, quote, when a task force member makes a decision that the secretary disagrees with, unquote. The secretary can also block a recommendation by slow-walking its implementation, since Congress only requires a minimum 1-year interval between its issuance and mandatory insurance coverage, he wrote. In short, through the power to remove and replace task force members at will, the secretary can exert significant control over the task force, including by blocking recommendations he does not disagree with. The reason that this is significant is because everybody watched his confirmation hearings, and even before he was nominated, he is an anti-vaccine person. He said it. He said it. And of course, he has now said that, particularly with the example of the COVID vaccine, that not everybody is going to get the COVID vaccine. They're not. I, myself, 63, I am type 2 diabetic. I have a stent in one of my arteries, and I'm on the track to be healthy, but as of this moment, right now, I'm not eligible for the COVID vaccine coming this fall unless my doctor says I need it, which I'm pretty sure my doctor is going to say that. But based on what RFK Jr. is saying, unless you are 65 and older or something's wrong with your immune system, unless you're in those two groups, you're not eligible for the COVID vaccine. You're on your own. One of my housemates, friends, great friend, went on vacation and came back and found out that he caught COVID. Caught COVID-19 from his trip in Spain. Yeah. So that's that. But going back to the major announcement about this, this is long-ranging consequences. Long-ranging consequences. And not just about immigration either. I'll remind you that almost 2 months ago, SCOTUS has allowed the transgender ban for military to go forward. And I got a notice on my phone from Smart News. Let me pull this up here. That says the Supreme Court sides with parents seeking opt-outs for LGBT books in school. So my interpretation of that means that the SCOTUS is saying that any book that's in a school and a parent doesn't want their child to read that book because it has it's an LGBTQ plus story, like My Two Dads or My Two Moms or whatever. Chastain Buttigieg's book, for example, authored by a gay man, and it's a children's story. They can opt out to have their children be able to read that book. Now, if that book is in their house, that's one thing. But going to a school, and the reason I'm going this way is because it's not going to stop there. It's not going to stop there. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist either. But I can draw lines. This opens the door for, dramatic pause, book bans. And we're not talking about something that happened in the 50s. I'm talking about book bans that happened last year that were stopped, but now the door is open. And this is the SCOTUS. 6-3. 6-3. This is Trump's SCOTUS. This is his Supreme Court. And there are no checks and balances. We are in a constitutional crisis. And I'll remind you, because I've seen some YouTube videos based on Abby Phillips' CNN show with that round table when everybody's always talking about Shermichael and Scott Jennings, the two the two MAGA supporters, conservatives, excuse me, talking about there should be a path to citizenship. And I just get livid when I hear that, because apparently these people have a short-term memory. And I'll remind them and everybody else that last year, before the election, during the summer, there was a bipartisan immigration bill that would have passed, and it gave millions of people a path to citizenship. There were rules, but it was there. And guess what happened? Then candidate Donald Trump reached out to House Speaker Mike Johnson, who, I'll remind you, also voted for the immigration bill, voted yes. Candidate Donald Trump asked him to kill it. And why did he want it to be killed? So that could be an election topic that he could run on. And now, here we are in a constitutional crisis that his Supreme Court has said the 14th Amendment does not cover the anchor babies. Now, I will say this regarding Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who said that, no, not AOC, Jasmine Crockett, who was talking about Melania Trump, whose immigration status was fact-tracked so that she could be a citizen in order to be the First Lady. And her parents' immigration application was fast-tracked as well. Melania was not born in this country. She was not. Barron, I believe, was born in this country. But what does that say about Barron? But we're not talking about Barron today. We're not. We're talking about Melania. Representative Crockett was talking about the immigration process. And that, generally speaking, when someone wants to immigrate into this country and then they want to be a citizen, they have to show that they are adding value or something like that to the United States overall. Something like that. Do you know what Melania put on her application? She was a nude model. And she's embraced that. I'm not trying to shame her for that. Work is work. She was a nude model. Yet that allowed her to get her citizenship fast-tracked. Fast-tracked. And so I'm scratching my head is that she was able to get hers fast-tracked, but other people who've been in this country for years, who have been working, building a life, building a family, paying taxes, being upstanding citizens to no fault of their own, are getting rounded up and shipped to countries they have never set foot in. I'm just going to leave that right there for you. Just going to leave that right there for you. And so if I find out anything else, I'm shaking my head like I'm surprised, but I'm not. I'm not surprised because elections have consequences. Elections have consequences, and this is a result of those consequences. In fact, the SCOTUS that I was talking about being Trump's SCOTUS, remember, he backfilled the Supreme Court during his first term. And why was Obama not able to get his nominees on the on the Supreme Court? Because Mitch McConnell, from the great state of Kentucky, who is not running for re-election, who is now siding against Republicans and MAGA Republicans in legislation, is the one who stopped all of President Obama's Supreme Court nominees, i.e. Merrick Garland should be on the Supreme Court, from going through. He's also the senator who failed at making Obama a one-term president. Again, elections have consequences. And that's an example that a federal election has consequences, but it's also an example that a non-federal election has consequences. An election of a senator from another state has long-standing effects across the country. So keep that in mind, because North Carolina has a midterm coming up next year, and we either have to re-elect Tom Tillis or replace him. From my standpoint, whoever is the nominee against Tom Tillis, they're getting my vote. They're getting my vote. Because not voting is not an option. It's not. It's not. That's worse than voting for what I call the enemy. Tom Tillis has to go. He has to go. He is not doing anything for North Carolina from where I sit as a North Carolina citizen, resident. And I'm a small business owner. But I digress. So like I said, once I see other information, the news conference is still going on about, he was defending the bombing of the Iran nuclear facilities, and now he's talking about the birthright citizen issue. And so I'm just going to go back and watch that, and then if there's something else new, I will inform you here on my YouTube channel. As always, now that I'm ending my videos like this, wrong finger, happy Pride, there are my flags. We're still in the month of June, so it's Pride, happy Pride. You notice I don't have my necklaces on because I was out last Tuesday. Ooh, child, how hot it was, but I was out there and I was walking in the morning, and this is what happened to me. And I had some sunscreen on, but I just didn't put enough on. So I have suspended my daily walk since Wednesday, and I'm going to try to get back out there Saturday, but I may not. I may just do something comparable of a video I found on YouTube that can get my steps in and all of that and get me some exercise. But anyway, I digress. I'm just rambling now. Happy Pride. Hashtag elections have consequences. Hashtag midterm elections 2026. See you on the next one.